feels like someone drove a spike through it. What's going on? Am I in the cellar? What? My hands are tied up behind my back. What am I doing down here? Wait. Giselle. Giselle. Say something, Giselle. Unable to make any sort of sense out of my circumstances, it's not long after I regain consciousness that panic begins to sink in. And the most unsettling thing of all, the most frightening detail, is the fact that I can't hear her voice. Awake, are we? Are you the one who brought me here? What, you don't remember this morning? Morning? Right. I woke up because I heard someone enter the room, and then he hit me over the head. You're not dead, at least. That's good. What do you hope to accomplish by tying me up and bringing me down here? Remember what I said last night at supper about me putting on a little sideshow for you? What? I was reenacting the Last Supper with you as the guest of honor. Now I see. When you were asking if I had any family or friends, you were trying to find out if anyone noticed if I disappeared, if anyone would make any noise. You're sharper than you look. If only you'd caught on yesterday. Please, Giselle, say something. Giselle, why won't you answer me? Why can't I hear your voice? Why can't I feel you there? You're a quiet one. I thought you'd be a little louder. What made you decide to get rid of me? Did the nun say something? She has nothing to do with this. I have permission from the Lord to act at my own discretion. Should I come across anyone acting suspicious? This doesn't seem in the least bit wrong to you. I wouldn't say that. You're an acquaintance's friend who made a long trip to come see him, and I have you tied up in the cellar. That's not what I would consider right now. But seeing as you're good enough friends for him to let you stay here, I assume he's also spilled everything. He never had what it took, that boy. If I were to guess, it got to be too much for him to handle, so he went to a friend. To you. Leave him out of this. I see. So how much did he tell you? If you come clean, I might even let you go. Get rid of him, have you take his place? I said leave him out of this. So you're determined not to talk, are you? What a loyal friend. Listen to me. Listen. Oh, I'm listening. Because you have a lot of talking to do. I don't have many chances to let loose, so I'll be taking as much time as I can get today. He says in an eerily flat tone of voice as he draws nearer, pausing between each step as if to taunt me. And when he reaches me, struggling to get off the ground, he slams his heel into my shoulder. Not being able to use your hands makes you appreciate how much easier it is to stand up when you can, doesn't it? Help. Someone please help. Don't waste your energy. No one ever comes back this far. And the door's so heavy, your screams would never make it out. But that's the least of your worries. The door to the cellar's been locked, and the only key is right here. There's no getting in. If you can run fast enough, you might have a chance of making it to the door and escaping. Want to test your luck? I doubt you can make it. He puts the full weight of his body into his heel, pressing down on my spine, turning my breaths into gasping sputters. I gather together all my strength, but even that isn't enough to overpower him. Now, you're going to tell me everything. What are you and the boy scheming? What's your endgame? Who else is in on it? Damn it. I don't have many options here. What can I even do in this situation? Tell me what I want to know, and maybe I'll let you live. I guess I have choice but to tell him the truth. Alright, fine, I'll tell tell you everything. Just know that this isn't some attempt to beg for mercy. I came to this mansion in order to unlock the door to the observation tower and free Morgana. Mel was not the one who told me about her, though. I went to him and asked for his assistance. He didn't have to tell me, because I already knew. Both about her and what you're doing to her, stealing her blood and making medicine from it. Who told you then? Morgana did. Morgana's soul told me everything. I am not from this time. I lived in a time after her death. It takes me several moments to process what just happened. A fire runs up my arm from my little finger, only turning into pain when it finally reaches my brain. I twist my head back to see the man on top of me holding my right hand. My finger snapped backwards at the second joint. I'll ask you again, who told you? Morgana did. She dies on the day of the Harvest Festival. Next up is your ring finger, and then your middle if you insist on keeping this up. I'm telling you the truth. She bears so much hatred, she casts a curse on your souls. I've seen what happens in your next life. Now you're resorting to souls and next lives. I'm genuinely impressed. What lives are you going to cook up next, white-haired knave? If I don't set Morgana free, your souls will be enslaved for all eternity, imprisoned in this cursed mansion. When the bell tolls noon on the day of the Harvest Festival, you'll lose everything, all of you will. You cannot escape it unless you do something. And the nun, the reason you locked Morgana up in the first place, she won't be safe either. She'll be killed. 2 fingers left. Can you keep up the act that long? Everything I'm saying is the truth. I've seen it all with my own 2 eyes. Why are you so insistent on maintaining this farce? Is it to protect the boy, or do you have some other motive? Every last word is true. Continuing to lie isn't going to make this any easier. Your voice is shaking. The pain's starting to get to you, isn't it? What you're doing to Morgana, it achieves nothing. You must release her and atone for your sins. Otherwise your soul, and the souls of those you care about, will be doomed to suffering. I see what this is now. You don't have the information I want, so all you can do is spin these lies. You thick-skulled bastard. There are other options, though. Beg me for mercy. Sob like a little child, sniveling your "please don't kill me's" and "I don't want to die's" and "it hurts so bad, please stops." Grovel on the ground, you tiny, pathetic man, and if you can entertain me, maybe I'll consider it. I will never shed another tear, and I will never beg for your damn mercy. Nothing I've said to you has been a lie, some cheap attempt to fool you into letting me go. Every word of it is true. I know the sins you burn your soul with. I know the fate that awaits you in your next life, and I will gladly tell you every detail. You're down to just your thumb? Now, go on, if you're so eager to tell me. Let's hear about my supposed next life, shall we? In your next life, you lose your memory in an accident, causing you to forget your own humanity. The innate savagery you normally keep hidden beneath the mask is released, unrestricted, and you turn into a creature no more than... No, you turn into a beast. My mask. You murder countless people, including the woman you once called your lover. Lover? Hers is a name you know very well. Pauline, your tether. My tether? How do you know that word? Because I know everything. I know what you wanted. I know what you were never able to obtain. You idolized humanity and you yearned for peace. You're telling me I killed the nun in my next life? I am. lies waiting for you. Her love for you is so strong she refuses to believe you're dead. She leaves her seaside hometown in search of you, and she finds you. But you slaughter her. Did you say she lived in a city on the sea? In addition to her, you also lose someone else, a woman who tried to give you the peace you so desired, which eventually caused you to succumb entirely to instinct. Enough. Alright, fine. Now I know what you are. You're no mere seasoned liar. You're some kind of evil spirit that deceives humans. You're peering into my heart, tailoring your lies specifically to manipulate me. I am not. I swear I have seen everything that happens. Enough. But there's a chance you can change your fate. All you have to do is cease your involvement in Morgana's imprisonment, set her free, allay the hatred she bears for you. Are you deaf? I said I've heard enough. Release Morgana. Save your soul. Give her a better future. Silence. I think I'll take your arm off first. Cut right through your shoulder, nice and slowly. Don't. It'll still be attached for a while yet, don't you worry. You hear that, spirit? That's the sound of your flesh ripping apart. The sound of your muscles being severed. Not gonna be doing much talking anymore, are you? Not through the pain, you aren't. Plead for your life, spirit. Beg for mercy. Admit it was all a sham. Apologize. Let the room fill with your cries of agony. Nothing was a sham. Every last word, it's all the truth. I'll rip that head right off your shoulders. I don't care who or what you are anymore. You're dead. You will do no such thing. Get back. You will not harm him further. Pauline. What are you doing here, Pauline? I told you to stay away. And the door's locked. I opened it. You. One of Nellie's hairpins was long enough to get into the lock and undo it. She won't be getting much use out of it anymore, though. Busted it up pretty badly in the process. The locks on the tower door are too complex, but the one here is a lot simpler. Bet you never expected me to go cat burglar on you, huh? You stupid boy. Oh, what was your question last night again? Something about being on the edge of a cliff or whatever? Well, here's your answer. I'll do everything I can to save both of them. This is terrible. How could you? You're badly hurt. Sit tight, I'll call for a doctor. Don't worry about me. You need to talk to him. To get him to talk. We've got to do something about you, though. I'll get that wound patched up at least, until you can get it properly checked out. Thank you. Was it you who went to get Pauline? No, I ran into her while I was looking for you, which is when she told me she was looking for him. Neither of us were having any luck, so we scoured the mansion together. And when we reached the stairs to the cellar and heard the screaming, my worst fears were confirmed. So I picked the lock, and here we are. Sorry we didn't make it sooner. This could have been avoided. God, look what he did to you. There's so much blood in your fingers. No, you made it just in time. My arm's still attached, and I'm not dead. Neither of which would be true without you. So I guess that means I actually did something good for once. Did something for someone other than myself. That you did. So everything Michelle said was true. The Lord isn't storing valuables in the tower. He's got a girl locked up there. Well, is it true or not? It's still the Lord's property either way. The church is being funded with her miracle blood, so that makes her valuable, yes? So you're saying I've been handing out human blood and telling people it was medicine, not human, which... No, Morgana is a human girl. She hasn't become a witch yet, at least not here. All this time, I've been lying to the people who believe in me without even knowing what I was doing. Like you said, you didn't know. You haven't done anything wrong. Ignorance does not excuse sin. All that time I spent with you, and I didn't notice anything wrong. That was the idea. You weren't supposed to notice anything. It's not your fault I deceived you. It's unreasonable to think you should have been able to. All that you did to help me, didn't you? Like a stupid little girl, I assumed it was all out of the good of your words. Never once stopped me to think any deeper than that, about where it was all coming from. Maria was right. I was blind. I was content to be pleased about the people I thought I was helping. I want you to do something for me. I want you to set this girl, set Morgana free. Please, do not make your sins any greater than they already are. But without the witch's blood, we lose the Lord's patronage, and then the church. What good is a church that isn't actually saving anyone? Actually, no. That's avoiding the point entirely. What do you mean? To tell you the truth, I never really cared about the church at all. You... what? How can you say that? When you've always been so unconditionally charitable, even if it meant giving away food or money you needed yourself. People call you the saintess because that's what you are, a saint. It's true, I do that. But the fact is, I'm no saint. I don't deserve to be held up as one, nor do I belong in that position. I'm just an ordinary girl. I never wanted to be a nun, you know. I just didn't have any other options available to me. And I sure didn't have the confidence to make it out there on my own like Maria. So I did as I was told. And to keep myself from thinking it was a mistake, from feeling dissatisfied with that choice, I put everything I had into my responsibilities to the church. My unconditional charity was rooted entirely in selfishness. And the longer I kept it up, the harder it became to stop. I forgot what I really wanted. And what would that be? A normal, happy life as an ordinary girl. In a city on the water. What? That's what you said your dream was for your next life. Right. Yeah, a quiet life with the man I love. You might get that wish, in fact. Huh? That's what you said, wasn't it? That in her next life she lives in a city by the sea? That is correct. In your next life, Pauline, you are not a nun. You're an ordinary girl who lives in a seaside city. A sweet, cheerful, energetic girl who wears her heart on her sleeve. You have both your mother and father. And I... So you believe me now? I don't know. Your claims are utterly ridiculous, but it's getting harder to think you're lying. If that's what you really wanted, Pauline, what should I have done instead? I envied what you had, that solace. The last thing I wanted was for you to lose it. But you're saying you found no peace in that life? That's right. So what should I have done? I wanted you to take me away from this place, somewhere far away. I wanted you to make it so I could be Pauline, not Marie. That would have been my ideal life. To live with you, to have a family with you. How was I supposed to know? You couldn't possibly have known, I realize that. And that makes me every bit as complicit as you. Set Morgana free. I will be expected to pay for my crimes. That in itself is not a problem. I have every intention of facing the consequences. We have done terrible, gruesome things. I don't know what the usual punishment for such is in this land. But if I had to guess, I It's an illusion. And me being an outsider makes it easier for people to place the blame on me. I won't be able to take you away. We'll find each other again in our next lives, okay? Okay. As I'm sure you've heard, my involvement in this conspiracy ends here. I'm glad to hear you've decided to take action. Sorry about your fingers and arm. I'm still alive, that's what matters. The third key is in the Lord's possession. You said you needed it by noon of the Harvest Festival, yes? Which means we need to act quickly. That's correct. We must set Morgana free before the bell tolls noon tomorrow. And tonight, that's the next time the Lord will be here. Tonight, I'll kill him and take his key. Wait, no, we're not shedding any blood to get his key. Do you remember what I said a few minutes ago about not committing any further sins? He is not likely to hand over the key without a fight, though. We need to convince him, not force his hand. Besides, simply opening the door is not enough. Why not? My goal here is to save Morgana's soul. In order to do that, I need to pacify at least some degree of the hatred she bears in it. A hatred rooted in her perception of you and the things you've done to her. I need to change that perception. I'm not quite following. What do you mean by change her perception? For you and the Lord to tell your stories, to describe what happened from your perspectives. You want my perspective? I do. Something in your motivations or your circumstances might serve to lessen the animosity she holds for you. The greater the discrepancy in what she believes to be the truth and the full story, with everyone's perspectives included, the greater the chance she may have a change of heart. Okay, now I understand what you want from me. However, my perspective will do nothing to serve that end. There is no ambiguity, no justification for my actions. Regardless, I would still like to know the whole truth if you're willing to tell me you're part of it. Okay. I'll come by your room later today. Hey, is it alright if I'm there too? Sorry, I would rather if you weren't. Why? Everything you need to know I've told you already. I captured a witch... No. I kidnapped a young girl for profit and imprisoned her in the tower. My motivation, as I said, was to keep your church funded. Those are the facts. The things I did along the way were brutal and inhumane. I hope you can understand. Why, I wouldn't want the woman I love to hear any of that. I understand. I'll see you again later in the day. I'll be waiting. I should get going too. You're going to need medication, so let me get that arm dressed properly. If there's anything else I can get you, let me know. If you want to see a doctor, I'll find you the best one I can. I'm sorry for ever doubting you. No, I understand. I'm glad you came at all. Me too. See you. I'm kind of surprised. He's actually got a soft spot, huh? And I was sure you were full of it when you said the two of them had a thing going. What does she see in a guy like him anyway? She's got bad taste in guys, that's for sure. What's with that look? Just admiring your rather inappropriate remarks. Sorry, I was just so relieved and it kind of came out. It's okay. You almost got a smile out of me. I've never seen you smile before. I blame being relieved, too. Now, would you mind helping me get back to my room? Sure, no problem. My shoulder's all yours. You know, you really are something else, Michelle. I could hear you through the door as I was getting it opened. And honestly, I'm amazed you were able to stand up to him like that. I don't want to get my hopes up too high just yet, but I'm starting to think you might actually be able to do something about the Lord. That's reassuring. Thank you. Sure, anyway, let's get going. You should get as much rest as you can until he shows up. Well, I mean, you should be going to see a doctor with these wounds. Oh yeah, Nellie's been worried sick about you all day. I'll have to tell her not to pounce on you because I'm sure she'll come running as soon as she hears we found you. Giselle, you were right. I do have people here who will support me. People who are grateful to me and who show concern for me. But you have to know, Giselle, that's your voice I want to hear more than anyone else's. Why can I not hear you? Where are you, Giselle? Giselle. It's almost sunset. Looks like the snow didn't stick. You couldn't actually see the snow last night, could you, Giselle? Was that when the light started fading from the sphere of darkness encasing you? Or had it been going on even longer than that? Why didn't you say anything? Not a word. I don't believe you're gone for good. You're still out there somewhere. I know it. And I will come for you. I swear it. Just a moment. Here I am, as promised. I heard you talking, so I thought there was someone with you. But you're alone? It's only me, yes. I see. As I told you earlier, my perspective on events will do nothing to change Morgana's mind. I would still like to hear what you have to say. Alright. Not being from this land, I don't believe in the local god, nor do I think priests and preachers are any better than con artists. Where did that come from? What I'm trying to say is, if I give a confessional, it won't be to another human. You're an angel. Come again? The angel from the stained glass window. That's you, isn't it? Wait. How on earth did you come to that conclusion? I was thinking about everything you said earlier in the cellar. The fact that you knew about Morgana, the fact that you can see into my heart, and in particular, all your talk about saving people's souls. Salvation is not man's job. Which means you must be something else. I will tell you everything. Every foolish mistake, every terrible crime. And in exchange, I would like you to tell me what I am to do next, to lead me down the path I am to take. I terrify myself. With every passing day, my ability to tell what direction I'm supposed to be heading in dulls. So after I tell my story, I want you to do that for me. Please, will you show me the way? I can no more decide the path you take than you. But you saw into my heart. Giselle, if you were here, would you encourage me to agree to his request, wouldn't you? Okay. I can't guarantee that anything I'll have to say will be of use, but I will do the best I can to lead you in the right direction. Thank you. Now, before I begin, there's one thing I need to clarify. I am not in love with Pauline. She does play an important role in my life, though. That much is true. She's your tether. Exactly. I suppose you could say, admire her. She's everything I am not. Everything I cannot be. Is that something I should tell her, you think? That I don't love her? That I'm incapable of feeling love? Should I tell her that, knowing she genuinely loves me? My instinct tells me I shouldn't. I know very well I am lying to her. But there are circumstances in which a lie is preferable to the truth, are there not? With that said, I'm ready to begin. You have my full attention. As you know, I am not from this land. The issue is, I don't know any more about where I came from than you. I remember the Silk Road, stretching out before me as far as the eye can see. Clouds of dust wisping across the bare dirt trail. That endless expanse of red earth remains branded in the very fabric of my mind. But beyond that, most of my memories are gone. I can only clearly remember the last 5 years or so of my life. In my oldest real memory, I was a slave. I didn't work on some nobleman's estate, but instead I did physical labor, construction work. I built roads and buildings, tore down hills and mountains. That's where it was decided someone built like I am would be the most use, I suppose. And while I don't need to tell you this, living conditions were miserable. Other slaves withered away and died on a daily basis. Working in a noble's estate would have been easier without a doubt, if only for the fact I would have had a specific master. I don't remember anything about my life before becoming a slave. All I have are these few images, from which I can guess I was part of a caravan, or perhaps a messenger. I vaguely remember being waylaid. We were vastly outnumbered, massacred with little resistance. Or at least, I assume that was what happened. When I next woke up, I had been stripped bare and was surrounded by men I didn't recognize. The words they spoke were gibberish to my ears, but I could tell from the tone of their voice and expressions that the things they were saying were not friendly. They seemed to be mocking me, laughing at me. As you might expect, I attempted to protest, but evidently I had been beaten quite badly while I was still unconscious. My joints were stiff and swollen on top of my dehydration, so I could barely move, let alone put up a fight. As strong as I might have been at full health, I was in no condition to do anything then. You have no idea what that's like. How it feels to be abused and humiliated, desperate for food and water. Oh, I see. So as I was saying, I was a slave for one grueling, torturous year. No one treated me like a human being. There was no one from the same part of the world as me. And there was no one to come to my aid. Over time, I came to learn their language. Though I can only speak it, I don't know how to read or write. But to be honest, I think I was happier not understanding what people were saying about me. They had many words to describe me, none of them flattering. Some of them would even call me beast. And the longer I was treated as something less than human, the more I began to question whether I really was one. A darkness grew inside me with each repeated insult. I wanted to make them pay for the daily abuse. And who wouldn't? The desire to exact revenge when you've been mistreated is only natural. It's perfectly reasonable. But they were right about what I was deep down. A beast. And my revenge went far beyond what could be considered reasonable. 4 years ago, I was sitting in a carriage as I ran along a dirt road. This was not the kind of carriage you rode around town in, but a filthy slave transport. It was packed front to back with slaves, or soon-to-be slaves, I suppose I should say. There were men, young women, and even children. Everyone wore a look of hopelessness on their faces, and no one had the strength left to resist. They looked like me a year earlier, deprived of food and water and beaten into submission. The slave traders' guards were armed, of course, swords hanging from their hips, ready to cut down anyone who showed any sign of resistance. So they sat there, lamenting their fate. Sitting there beside me was a young girl, crying in silence. Glancing over at her, I caught a glimpse of her face. Large chunks of skin seemed to have fallen off of it. It was, suffice to say, an unusual sight. But beyond that, I didn't think much of it. I didn't find it disturbing or unpleasant, perhaps because I had a similarly unusual appearance. What caught my attention, though, was the way she was crying. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it seemed different somehow from everyone else crying in the carriage. It was almost like her tears were not for herself. Why are you crying? In my question, the girl turned her head up to look at me. Surprise crossed her face for a few brief seconds. That was only her reaction to my appearance. I assume her thought process was roughly the same as mine, so she felt no need to fear me. After a moment's hesitation, she said, "I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." Her response perplexed me to no end. Why was she concerned about showing gratitude? Why was she not despairing of her own circumstances? Why was that the emotion that gripped her in this moment? Not hatred for the slave trader or sorrow for herself. To this day, I still don't understand. But that wasn't the only thing I found curious. Her voice, despite being soft, cut through the crying and wailing of the other slaves. I pictured it like a single patch of clear water in the middle of a swamp, untainted by its surroundings, gently undulating. One sentence was all she said, but there was something unbelievably calming about the sound of it. For a moment, I was filled with a sense of tranquility. And though you may not believe it, I wanted to get her out of that filthy carriage, to undo the shackles threatening to taint her. And so I took action, driven by that desire. This is no lie, I promise. No, no, don't kill me. Please, you can have all my money. You can go free if that's what you want. I'll apologize, anything. What? Why are you laughing? Please, spare me. I have a wife and children, please. I'm begging you. Why should I care? Holding a sword in my hand felt amazingly right. Whatever work I did must have required me to use a blade. Even with the shackles still around my wrists, I had little trouble slaughtering the slave traders and their guards. They let their guard down because we were restrained. The thought of anyone resisting never once crossed their minds. Dead bodies sprawled out around me. Corpses I had made, lives I had snuffed out. Look at this. See? No one can defeat me. They stood no chance against my strength. More. I need more. I need more. I don't have the words to describe the high it gave me killing those men, the power I felt over them. I was driven mad by the stench of blood filling the air. No, it just drew out what was always there. If I weren't already deranged, the corpses would have had nothing to stimulate in the first place. After taking the keys off of one of the slave traders, I returned to the carriage, doing my best to act calm and suppress the bubbling exhilaration. Hey, you, unlock my shackles for me. I would do it myself if I could. You. Say something, would you? But she said nothing, simply removing my shackles as commanded. If she had said even one word, let me hear that curiously calming voice of hers, then in all likelihood, I probably would have stopped there. But she remained perfectly silent. Everyone was in shock at what they had just witnessed, her included. In time, though, the slaves started cheering. The same people who'd been wailing minutes earlier were now shouting praises. Our savior! You are our savior! We're free to go home. We can have our lives back. Undo our shackles, please. I'm a beast. What? I'm not a savior. I'm not a man. I'm a beast. Isn't that right? I'm a beast, aren't I? What are you? More. I need more. I thirst for more. Why are you putting your... I need more. In that moment, the last of my reason dissolved. I went into a frenzy, slaughtering the helpless slaves I had never intended to kill. I was euphoric. I couldn't get enough. I reveled in it. Never before had I felt such utter ecstasy. Their cries for mercy as I ripped through them were delicious. The look of fear in their eyes, the way their faces twisted, the splatters of blood around their mouths open in screams, the despair that filled them. I didn't care anymore that they were just as much victims as me, that they had suffered the same abuse and humiliation. All of that was buried beneath waves of bliss that ravished me. Everyone who asked to be spared, I skewered. I worked my way around the inside of the carriage, killing dozens upon dozens of slaves. Heads went rolling off shoulders, hot geysers of blood spewing from open necks. I was practically wading through blood by that point. Some bodies I completely dismembered. Others I disemboweled, leaving their entrails hanging out of their open guts. All of them had looks of agony frozen into their faces as death took them. I don't know if I was unconsciously avoiding her or if it was just a coincidence, but the girl was the only one left alive. She, of course, hadn't been spared the mess, so she sat there, drenched in sticky red gore. Her lips appeared to be trembling, though I couldn't tell for sure with so much of her skin missing. The fire inside me still burned white hot. She was the reason I had done any of this in the first place. I had stood up because I wanted to set her free, but my original intentions were long since gone from my mind. Raw pleasure overwhelmed any sense of reason. I approached the girl, pointing the sword at her neck. I expected her to scream, to beg for her life like the others, but she did nothing, simply stared up at me. Why didn't you run? At my question, the girl finally spoke. Why did you kill them? sound of her voice quelled the fear within me. It baffled me. I had no control over it, yet this strange girl could pacify me with a single utterance. The words she used didn't matter. It was her voice. She could have called me a monster, and would have had the same effect. Because I felt like it. I couldn't explain my reason for murdering the slaves. I didn't have the words to express the things that drove me. All I could tell her was that I did it because I felt like it. And why haven't you killed me yet? I couldn't find a sure answer for that question in my mind. I couldn't find a sure answer for that question in my somewhat rattled mind either. In retrospect, I realize now it was her voice that was my tether. But at that time, I had no idea why I didn't take her life in my frenzy. I had killed other children, other women. Young, old, sad, miserable, it didn't matter. Nothing had so much as prickled my conscience. I don't know, I said, and I stepped off the carriage and walked away. Left with questions I couldn't answer. Was I really a beast? Was unleashing my innate savagery and reveling in the massacre of helpless people really all I wanted? I didn't know. After escaping from the slave traders, I became something of a bandit. I had no hope of anyone taking me in. Not only was I a murderer, I was a foreigner. Nor did I have any chance of finding decent work. So I lived by the sword, killing and plundering. The money I honestly didn't give a damn about. I had no desire to be wealthy. It was simply a matter of survival. That and quenching my thirst. I went on for about 3 years like that. Until finally encountering something I couldn't defeat with my sword. No amount of muscle was enough to protect me from disease. One day I woke up with the chills, my vision blurry, barely able to move my own limbs. I set off for a nearby village, hoping to see a doctor, but my body didn't last that long. I collapsed on the side of the road, drained of my last strength. It was a moderately busy road at that, so I assume I had made it close to the city. Dozens of people passed by, silently pretending not to see anything. I didn't look like someone a respectable person wanted to involve themselves with in normal circumstances, so it was no surprise they weren't interested in this sick, filthy foreign man. Hell, I couldn't remember the last time I'd bathed. It was hard to look at me, let alone get anywhere near me. This is where I'm going to die, I thought. It seemed like a suitable end to a mad, murderous monster's life, withering away at the side of the road beneath sneering passers-by. The fact that I was still alive at all after 3 years of leeching off other people's lives was itself wrong. I didn't lament my impending demise. I accepted that was such was the way of the world. But then, I glanced up to see a woman in a nun's habit looking down on me. Are you all right? Are you sick? I'm going to check your temperature, okay? Wow, you're burning up. You shouldn't be out here in this condition. Do you not have anywhere to go? Don't worry, I've got you covered. There's a church not too far from here. Hang in there just a little longer and you'll be fine. And what is your god going to do for me? He helps people in need? It's not very big, but we've always got room for people who need it. You can rest up in one of the open beds. I should be able to get you a little something to eat. I promise it'll be better than staying out here at any rate. Can you stand? Not a problem. We can do this together. Put your arm around my shoulders. The church isn't that far. We can do it. You are going to carry me? Yep. It'll be fine. We'll make it one way or another. Almost. We're almost there. Just a little longer. I'm heavy, aren't I? Very, very heavy. But that's not a problem. I can do anything if I put my mind to it. Just throw me into a ditch. No, God doesn't like his children talking like that. Almost there. We're almost there. So, how are you feeling? Better, I hope? I've left some applesauce in the bedstand if you're feeling up to eating anything. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to. Why did you help me? Because that's what people do? They help each other. That's not what most people do. I like to think it is. You church people are exceptions. I'm not sure I agree with that. This woman is only showing me compassion because she doesn't know what I am. She wouldn't be so friendly if she knew I was a madman and a murderer. If there's anything else you want, let me know. I can't make any fancy dinners, but if there's anything I can get, I will. Could you tell me your name? I'm Marie. Marie. After, who was it? The Virgin. You're not familiar with the Virgin Mary? Just look at me. I'm clearly not from these parts. Yeah, I can see that. So that would make you a traveler, huh? You speak the language really well, though. I take it you've been here for a while, then. Yes, I have. How exciting. So when you're feeling better, maybe you can tell me about the country you came from. I've never been far from home, so I'm curious what it's like elsewhere. There's nothing I could tell you. It can be anything. Tell me about yourself if you want. I'm even less inclined to do that. Get better soon, okay? I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. I'm not sure there's anyone out there deserving of the Virgin Mary's name. Anyone out there more deserving of the Virgin Mary's name. What was that? Your name. It suits you. Oh no, not at all. I'm incredibly flattered to hear you say that, but I hardly live up to the name. What's your name, by the way? I have no name. You don't? If you want something to call me by, you can choose a name for me. Anything you want. I am nameless. You give me a name. I think you should be the one to choose your name. I'd be more than happy to help, though. But you should go with the name you think is best. I see. Well, I should get going. I'll be around, so if you need anything, just holler. Bye, then. How am I supposed to choose a name for myself when I don't know anything about me? I recovered quite quickly with a proper bed and a roof over my head. Out on the road, I had been certain I stood no chance, but I was back on my feet after only 3 days at the church. My body was more resilient than I even knew. And now that I was back in health, I had no intention of sticking around. Thank you for everything. I would be dead if it weren't for you. No thanks necessary. I'm just glad to see you're feeling better. There's no need to be in such a rush to leave, you know. Stay a bit longer, make sure everything's alright. I'm not going to stay any longer than necessary. If you're sure. Take this as payment for the food and lodgings. I can't accept that, no. We don't charge for charity. Charity is not free. You paid for it. Let me pay you back. I can't. Please, take the money. If you insist, I can accept it as a tithe. A tithe? Think of it as a donation to the church. Like you said, the work we do isn't free. Alright then, a tithe it is. Thank you. And may God bless you for your generosity. So long. Hey, if you're ever in the area, maybe you could stop by sometime. I never did get the chance to have that talk with you, and I was really looking forward to it too. I'll just cause you more trouble. What? No, you wouldn't. What makes you think that? Are you afraid you'll scare people off because you look different? I really don't think you need to be worried about that. It's not just my appearance. Do you mean it? That it won't be any trouble to have me around? I absolutely mean it. Okay. I'll consider it. Wonderful. I can't wait to see you again. Yeah. Believe me, I I knew I had no place involving myself with her. A killer making himself comfortable in the house of God? I don't even believe in their deity, and I still knew that was nothing if not extremely disrespectful. The money I donated to the church wasn't even clean. It was stolen. I didn't feel the slightest bit guilty about it, though. I was more than conscious of what I was doing, but none of that mattered to me. She had smiled when she took it. That was enough. Seeing the nun smile put my heart at ease. Much like the sound of the slave girl's voice I had several years before. It restrained me, suppressed my urges. That smiling face was my new tether. I had always believed I was at my happiest while torturing people, that my thirst for murder was ingrained in my soul. But as exhilarating as taking others' lives was, there was a part of me that yearned for peace. I had gotten a taste of that with her, and I wanted more. Even knowing I had no place in that world, that peace was something I would never attain. Still, I longed for it. It started with brief visits every few months. In time, though, their frequency began to increase. Soon it was once a month, then twice, then once a week. The length of my visits gradually grew as well. Every time I showed up, the nun greeted me with a smile, quenching my thirst without the need for blood. The more we met, the more I endeavored to be a normal man around her, or to play the part of one. I thought that I acted like there was nothing wrong with me, that I wouldn't be out of place at her side. I wanted to feel like I belonged in that peaceful world where she lived. It's the giant man. Marie, the giant man's here. Giant? Hello there. I was beginning to think you weren't coming this week. I was having trouble on deciding what to bring you. You're always welcome here, you know. You don't have to bribe yourself in. But I appreciate it, thank you. I wouldn't feel right if I didn't bring something. I bought a variety of fruits for you today, so you can share them with the children. They'll be delighted. Thank you so much. It's nothing, really. So have you decided on a name for yourself yet? Not yet, no. Nothing at all? It makes talking to you a little awkward not having anything to call you. In that case, the giant man is as good as anything. Did he get under your skin? A little. I'm not that big, am I? We're all giants to little kids. I do wish they'd be a little less blunt about it sometimes, though. Indeed. I suppose it's better than them being afraid of me. The children here have strong nerves. They're ordinary kids. You're just not a scary person. They only assume I'm harmless because I'm with you. But you make it sound like you were dangerous or something. Because I am. Don't get worked up about it. The only thing different about us is our race. Everything else is exactly the same. I'm not so sure. You must have had some pretty awful experiences because of your appearance then to make you so concerned about it. I wish I could say I understood your pain. That's not necessary. But if I could, then maybe I'd feel a little closer to you. If only I could even be half the same race as you. You have nothing to gain from being more like me. You don't think so? I think there's a lot that would be nice about it. I'd probably have really pretty black hair at least. If I'm ever reborn, I'd like to be more like you. Why are you so obsessed with being like me? I just am? Oh. Yeah. That was about the time I started noticing the feelings she had for me. At first I thought I was simply being egotistical. There was no way a woman like her would be interested in a man like me. But I couldn't think of any other explanation for the way she looked at me. Back then I believed I loved her too. And that if we could be together as a man and a woman, that I would finally be able to attain the peace I so sought. That I could wash my hands of the killer within me, defeat the urges once and for all. That I could step out of the darkness I had lived in for so long. That I would be able to see the light. That I would be able to experience love like any other ordinary man. So in the name of that hope, I took action. That foolish, naive hope. What are we doing out here, so late at night? Sorry for asking you to meet me on such short notice. I hope it wasn't too much trouble sneaking out. It certainly wasn't easy. So you had something to tell me? What I'm about to tell you, every last word is sincere. And then once you've heard me out, I want you to turn me down. What? Over these past few months, I've come to at least somewhat understand the responsibilities and restrictions placed on you as a nun. But even ignoring the obligations you have, I know good and well I'm not a suitable match for you. Which is why, as I said, I would like you to turn me down. I still want to hear it. I love you. I fell for you the moment I first saw you. I know I don't deserve to be anywhere near you, but every time we met, my desire to be with you grew stronger and stronger until it was out of control. Turn me down, Marie, please, and I will stop trying to get close to you. I'm not Marie. You're not what? My real name is Pauline. Pauline. Marie is my baptismal name. It's not the name I was given at birth. I love you too. I fell for you the moment I first laid eyes on you. I know it's forbidden, but I want to be with you too. Any free time I have, I want to spend it with you. I'm glad to hear you say that. Thank you for being honest with me. No, thank you for not turning me down. Wow, talk about an anxious day. When you asked me to meet you out here tonight, I wonder if that might be what it was about. Felt like my heart was going to explode all day. Heart explode? Guys get nervous about telling girls how they feel too, don't they? Yeah, we do. Until now, I had no idea falling in love was so hard on the nerves. Just thinking about you makes my mind turn to mush. It's so hard to work like that, you know? Is it really that stressful? Is it like that for you too? Yeah. Thinking about you makes it impossible to concentrate. Tell me something. I mean, Pauline. What is it? How exactly is it hard on your nerves? What? How exactly? It's like, I'm in the clouds, and I want to scream, and I want to jump into a lake all at the same time. That doesn't help me much. Can you be a little more specific? Really? Are you trying to embarrass me? It's like my whole body gets really hot. You mean you get aroused? Aroused? No, to put it bluntly, yes. I see. You're a real jerk, you know. You shouldn't go around trying to humiliate ladies. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, you. Well, that was insightful. So I'm not in love with her or romantically attracted to her. Or even physically attracted to her. All I want from her is her smile. Being around her doesn't arouse me. In fact, it does exactly the opposite. My fire burns brightest when I'm not with her. It all makes sense now. I just want someone to keep me placated. I'm disturbed through and through. A murderer and a beast. See, that's why I didn't want to say anything. I knew you would laugh at me. I'm sorry. I truly am. I did ultimately get what I wanted out of the arrangement. She became my tether, became an invaluable part of my life, even if I had no real love for her. When I was with her, I was at peace. That said, her presence didn't completely rid me of my urges. I was still occasionally struck with bouts of insatiable thirst. Overwhelming desire to mutilate anyone who came into my line of sight. And sometimes Pauline became the object of that desire. It goes without saying that I never did draw my sword on her, but I had no way of knowing when I might lose control. And if I ever did kill her, then there would be nothing left to keep me from regressing completely into a beast. Pauline and I arranged regular nighttime meetings, though never once did I tell her how I truly felt, and I had no intention to either. When I was with her, I was in the role of her lover. She never questioned my love for her, and expressing hers for me caused her to smile even more than normal. The happier she was, the more beneficial it was to me. Spending time with her in this capacity, I was able to gain a deeper understanding of what kind of person Pauline was. She was a deeply generous and compassionate woman. While I now understand her near-compulsive deeds of charity were a result of the stress and uncertainty she felt about herself at the time, I believe she was doing it because she genuinely wanted to. I believe she wanted to save absolutely everyone, to be the saintess she had come to be known as. She gave assistance to anyone who sought it from her without question. As a result, the church's coffers quickly dried up. Her God did not supply her with an endless store of bread and wine either. In the end, any endeavor, no matter the intentions, requires money. In time, her generosity turned excessive, self-destructive. She would even skip meals so that others could eat. In retrospect, that was probably my fault too. As I pushed her toward wanting to be a regular girl, she pushed back against that desire by being even more charitable. Soon her actions started making the other nuns' lives difficult, giving her a less than favorable reputation within the church. Still, she would tell me when we met up, how much she wished she could help even more people. If doing so would give her peace, if I could be a part of that peace, then I wanted to grant her wish. But what could a killer like me do to help? Petty thievery wouldn't make me nearly enough money to keep a church and orphanage running. And a raid large enough in scale to do so would inevitably be traced back to the source, which would ruin the church forever. How was a murderer to acquire such a large sum of money? I was ready to jump at any opportunity that presented itself, when I received summons from the Lord. I take it you're the Asian man who's been seen buzzing around a local church of late. When I first saw the Lord, I was surprised at just how young he looked. There couldn't have been more than a couple of years difference between us. I had envisioned him as an elderly, or at the very least a middle-aged man. That would be me, yes, what of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damn respect. Apologies, I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language. Very well then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here, you're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that. I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Since then, one slave of Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it that would be you. That's right. You made one hell of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going to go back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. I don't need any more damn slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard. Correct. Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought that would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you've got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what exactly? Something that's going to make me a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Along with the church you're so fond of, and the nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite the name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that, she is. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial troubles for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me out with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps. You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversations that overstay their welcome. Fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle drug, which she will then distribute to patrons of the church, in exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if you want to think of it, if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoner's beloved saint is handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up, and in turn you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city's economy as well. A single witch's freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. So what'll it be? Will you help, or will I have to? I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little. I guess it was foolish of me to presume you'd understand how to... I just can't read today. I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it would seem. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. I agreed to the Lord's terms. A couple days later I made my way out to the location the Lord had given me, a small cottage by a lake where the witch was said to live. I had been instructed to take her alive, but not that I wasn't allowed to harm her, so my plan was to force my way in and immobilize her as soon as she opened the door. The Lord was right. I didn't have anything resembling a conscience. I was too far gone to be bothered by the prospect of disabling a witch. Not even the fact that I found a degree of solace in my relationship with Pauline could change that. However, who's there? When I heard the witch's voice through the door, I froze. It was the girl from 4 years earlier. I didn't even have to see her, I knew right away. I wouldn't mistake that voice, that stream of pure, clear water cutting through the grime for anything. I would never forget the first thing that ever managed to suppress my desires. My first tether. When the Lord told me about the witch, I never once expected it to be her. Who is it? Are you the witch with the miracle blood? My hand rested on the hilt of my sword. I had at first meant to break down the door if she wouldn't open it for me. Please leave. However, when I heard that voice, my hand fell limp. Please, stay away from my home. I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little? I have nothing to spare for a man like you. My blood is only for the sick and needy, so please, go away. Stay away from me. I'm begging you. Get away from this place. You're a murderer. I want nothing to do with you. So please, just go away. As you say. As she had commanded, I took my leave of her cottage, in somewhat of a haze. Should have come as no surprise, but in the 4 years since our last encounter, she had no kind words left to spare me. Yet, even in her derision, I still found myself being calmed by the sound of her voice. I debated with myself. Should I do as the Lord requested and capture her? Or should I let her go free, as I had done 4 years earlier? You already know what I decided to do, though, don't you? That's right, I went with the first option. After all, I had no need for two tethers. While breaking down her door was still an option, the witch was wary of me. If she were to somehow manage to escape, there was no saying how the Lord might react. So I stood watch, waiting for her to step outside. The problem was, she never opened her door. It wasn't just me. It seemed she was wary of everyone. There was one exception, though. The boy. She left the cottage for him. They went on walks together around the lake. It's been a while since we last went on one of our walks, huh? I have been sleeping much taking care of Nellie. Is her condition worsening again? Yeah. Rest assured, I will give her my blessing as many times as she needs. Thanks. I really appreciate it. The weather's kind of not that great today, huh? Looks like we might get rain. It's probably not smart to stay outside much longer. Yesterday, I should get going. See you. Watching the two of them, it occurred to me that I can make good use of the boy. You have two options. Either you say no and protect the witch, get away, or you can help me capture her. Get away from her right now. And if you choose the witch, I kill the girl. Get away. Make your decision. Get away from her. You have until the count of 10. If you don't choose, I kill the girl. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I'll do it. I'll help you. Get your sword out of her face. Don't kill her. I thought you'd hold on until the last second. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's get going. Get moving. You pitiful little boy. Get back. No. Stay away from me. No. Help. Don't kill me. Take it. What? That's your share. Should last you long enough. What? Why did you take my arm? What do you mean by share? Why? My arm. My arm. No, put me down, please. Help, somebody, please help. The witch with the miracle blood had regressed into an ordinary girl, and she cried in pain like a small child. I wasn't going to get very far with her wailing, so I gagged her, tied her up, and threw her into a burlap sack. Nothing personal, I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church. She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch with the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. So don't take it personally. I tossed the sack into the cart I had waiting outside, then made my way to the mansion as per the Lord's instructions. The two of us then locked the witch in the observation tower. When I told the Lord I used a boy as bait to get her to open the door, he gave an exasperated sigh and said, "Involving a third party was not part of the plan. Is there anything at all in that head of yours, dog? I can kill him if that's a problem. Don't be hasty. Describe him for me. Did he seem like he came from a wealthy family?" "He's young, still in his teens. He lives with his little sister. He looked reasonably well off, probably of noble blood." "You picked one hell of a target to use bait. Should I kill him? There are people in this world you can make disappear quietly. People no one will notice have gone missing. You're one of them. The boy, he most likely isn't." "Was the boy at all interested in the witch's blood?" "He seemed to be." "Well, that makes things a little easier. We just have to make him into an accomplice, then." That's everything up until about 6 months ago. You know what happened next, I presume. I threatened Mel, forced him to join us. He needed the blood for his sister, but even without that excuse, he didn't have the courage to run. Me, on the other hand, I involved myself in my own will. I had no reason to try to get back out. In fact, being put in charge of one of the 3 keys gave me an excuse to meet up with her more often. The arrangement was quite beneficial for me. "Hey, I heard the news. You were selected to be part of the Lord's personal guard? Now you've got it made. Congratulations." "You exaggerate. It's nothing." "Now, no need to be so humble. He wouldn't have picked you if he didn't really trust you. Everyone around here knows just how hard it is to earn the Lord's trust." "If you say so." "It has been easy for him, I hear. He only assigns those he really trusts to work so close to him." "I hope you're right. He trusts you, I'm sure of it." "I certainly can't tell her the real reason I suddenly became the guard. And I've got some more exciting news, too. The Lord sent a messenger for me earlier. Apparently he's building a new church and he wants me to serve as a nun there. Can you believe it?" "You shouldn't be surprised. You are the city's saintess, after all. It's little wonder you would be his first choice. I really don't think I'm that important." "Do you not want the position?" No, I'm delighted to have such an incredible opportunity. This will allow me to help so many more people than before. It's wonderful news." "That's good to hear. Tell me, I'm not in the wrong thinking helping people is the one thing you want more than anything else, am I?" "Right. That's what I want more than anything in the world." "I see. Hey, smile for me, would you?" "I've been smiling this whole time, haven't I?" "Not just now. Forever." "Of course. When I'm with you, nothing could possibly take the smile off my face." "I'm glad to hear that." "I never knew someone could lose so much weight while still eating every day. We might have to increase your portions. If there's anything in particular you want, just tell me." "I hear children's voices. From outside, I hear children's voices. The kids are here to see the saintess. It's gotten quite noisy out there of late, yes?" "Oh, the saintess. Your voice has gotten raspy, too. Was that my doing? Did I take your voice? That's unfortunate. To me, your voice held far more value than your blood. And I took that away from you. Yes, you 3 took everything from me." "So we did. Enough chatter, dog." The Lord's scheme was a success. The witch's blood brought with it an influx of donations, which the Lord invested in various businesses in the city. I have no idea if the blood actually has miraculous powers, but there were certainly people claiming to have been healed by it. It wasn't long before people who weren't sick started making use of the supposed cure-all medication, saying it had preventative properties as well. As word of the drug spread, the Lord's profits grew in kind. One fact was undeniable. The witch's blood stimulated the city's dramatic growth. And that's everything. Appalling, is it not? Morgana. If you hate me for what I did to her, you can take this sword and kill me with it. And you can have my key. I won't put up a fight. You have the right to exact punishment on me. Killing you would accomplish nothing. It is neither my place to forgive nor punish you. As much as it would make me feel better, doing so would serve no meaningful purpose. I would like you to give me a little time, though. I need time to cool down enough that I can talk to you with a clear head. Of course. So you are still willing to speak with me? I gave you my word. I told you I'd help you figure out which path you should take. You're an honorable man. I will not force your hand if you don't want to do this. You can tell me to leave and I'll walk right out the door. More than anger or hatred, I'm simply deeply pained. Maybe things would have turned out better if I were as sympathetic a man as you. People are supposed to feel happy or sad for each other. I can't, though, which must make me a beast. When you first met Morgana, you felt a desire to rescue her from the slave traders, did you not? You thought of someone other than yourself. I never saw that desire through, though. My thirst far overpowered anything I may have wanted to do for her. And the next time we met, I sold her to the Lord. As I said before, there is no room for interpretation in the things I have done. Whatever I might have wanted to do at one point, it's all meaningless now. Regardless, anything I do for someone else is ultimately for my own benefit, because it's what I need. No matter how selfish your motivations may ultimately be, please let me believe some part of you does genuinely want to help her. Alright? I know I'll sound like a hypocrite for saying this, but sitting back and waiting for her to die is not what I want. When I cut off her arm, I didn't feel any of the thrill or euphoria that I usually do when I take my sword to someone. I can't say whether that means I had a conscience, if but for a moment, or I just wasn't myself at the time. If you can save her, though, please do. I can't do anything. If I try, I'll only make things worse. I cannot do everything on my own either. Give me your word that you will atone to Morgana for your actions. While I doubt making reparations will clear me of my crimes, if that is what you want me to do, that is what I will do. Can I ask you something? What is it? Tell me more about my next life. I want to know what kind of man I am. I want to know every mistake I make, all the details. I warn you, it's a tale far more barbaric than anything you can imagine. Do you still want to hear it? I do, and I have little doubt that I will believe it. If you're worried I might react the same way I did earlier, I'll lay down my sword. You can tie me up too if you want. That won't be necessary. I'm going to trust you. I'll tell you the whole, hopelessly tragic truth. Everything I saw with no embellishments. Please do. And so, I I told him the tale I witnessed beyond the second door. That he lost his memory in a shipwreck, that he was treated like a beast by the people in the land where he washed up, that he massacred countless people, and that he took the life of his lover who had come in search of him, never wavering in her belief that he was still alive. I told him about the white-haired girl. I told him about the things he made Giselle do. I didn't hide anything. As I spoke, he would occasionally grimace, or his eyes would go wide for a moment, but not once did he interrupt me. He sat there in silence until I finished. You weren't kidding. That was far worse than I had imagined. It is the truth, though. You become the target of Morgana's loathing, and you are led back to this mansion. That is what lies in your future. As difficult as it may be to comprehend, that person is you. The man who does all those things hundreds of years from now is you. I really am a beast. A horrendously precarious creature. As I interpret it, when you lost your memory, you also lost everything you used to suppress your nature. You lost the foundation you had built, and as a result you are no longer able to maintain that balance. Would that not mean what I am now is, comparatively speaking, human? No, I'm no different now. I have no more control over myself when I'm killing people than the man you described. You've seen me do reprehensible things, and in spite of that, you were never condescending or insulting, never acted disgusted or afraid of me. Are all angels as compassionate as you? I am not an angel. I was simply biting my tongue. Are you afraid of me, then? I'm not afraid of you, no. What are you, then? I don't understand. I'm of the belief that now is not the appropriate time for me to allow my personal feelings to influence my actions. My task is to save Morgana. If I'm to be honest with you for a moment, I despise the man you are in the future, but I'm also equally frustrated at myself. You're right. The things you did were inexcusable. You murdered innocents. You killed the woman who came searching for you. But on a personal level, what angers me the most is that you put blood on the hands of the woman I love. I know very well that, to you, it's something you haven't done yet, but it was still your soul. It tears me apart inside that I couldn't return in time to stop it. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who wouldn't be angry to know someone they care about had received that kind of treatment. I suppose, if that's how you feel, though, aren't you interested in taking revenge on me? As I mentioned before, there are times when allowing your emotions to take the reins is the wrong course of action. This is one of those times. Seeking vengeance is the wrong thing for me to do right now. If I can eliminate Morgana's hatred, the three of your souls will be set free as well. So you're going to save me too? Yes, I am. I don't consider myself worthy of redemption, especially not after hearing about the things I will do. I'm a beast through and through, a twisted, psychopathic monster. You were conflicted, though. You struggled against the creature that dwelled inside you. It's true that you found perverted joy in violence and murder, but you also felt kindness, which caused a part of you to seek peace. And the same can be said of you in this time as well. If you actually were nothing but a beast, or rather, nothing but a man that derived pleasure in killing, maybe then I could have truly reviled you. Then you would have been irredeemable, no matter what had turned you into that. No matter how much pain and suffering had driven you to that point. But your instability, your constantly shifting desires, your mental frailty, all appear to me as very human traits. Tell me, how should I live my life from here on out? What is it you want most? The easiest road for me would be the one I walk now, to continue being a killer. No fighting my desires, no resisting what's inside me? Would that be my salvation, to abandon my humanity entirely? I don't know what I should do, what I'm supposed to do. I'm at a complete loss about everything. I would like to believe that your desire to live in peace is sincere, and that's what I want for you too. It will be the more trying path, yes, because you'll have to fight against your nature to stay on it. But we live in the human world, and you also have Pauline who wants the same thing, extending her hand for you, inviting you to join her. So I encourage you to suppress your urges. Your life will not be easy for it, but I implore you to take the rocky road, for your own sake and for hers. Even if it means my entire life is built on a foundation of lies? Before today, I believed it was wrong not to be true to oneself. But as I listened to you tell your story, I came to realize that maybe there are exceptions. Some things you can, and possibly should, keep locked inside you where they can't hurt anyone else. However, I also think you have a tendency to try and act too perfect around her both in this life and the next. You cover up so much of yourself you become an entirely different person. You can be your conflicted, imperfect self around her. The man you are right now, lost and trying to find his way. I have little doubt she will accept that man. What you need most is restraint. I see. So tell me, do you think my future can be changed? I don't know for certain, so all I can do is speculate. But as you share the same soul, I expect any changes you make now will be reflected in your future incarnation. I have my work cut out for me then. Pauline, she believed in me. She put her faith in a beast and went out in search of him. I cannot allow myself to be the kind of monster that would murder a woman like her. I have to change. I will change the future. You can do it. When my life here comes to an end, I vow to make my next one better. Thank you for listening to me, and for giving me guidance. I can't say I'm particularly suited for the job. Knowing that my words are going to influence the direction of another's life is an unimaginable amount of pressure. Oh, I'd say you pulled it off well enough. If you ever decide to quit being an angel, you'd make a damned convincing missionary. I have no interest in being a missionary. As I've told you, I'm not an angel. That's too bad. I'd join the Church of Michel. Don't look at me like that. I'm just kidding. Now I can get angry at you? As I've been telling you, I'm an ordinary man. I'm not special in any way like you seem to think I am. You're not ordinary. You're not different, but not in the same way I am. You're different, but not in the same way I am. I wouldn't ask any normal man to show me how to lead my life. I see. Although, what passes for normal differs from person to person, I suppose. Just as I don't think you're normal, I'm sure there are people out there who do. Perhaps. Or maybe they're just able to see my desire to be normal. Well, that's everything I have to tell you. You're going to want to talk to the Lord next, I assume. That's right. I'm going to convince him to hand over his key, and then I'm going to set Morgana free. I doubt he'll have much luck convincing him of anything, but I'll help in any way I can. I appreciate it. I'll get him to come to supper tonight. You be there too. Okay, I'll be there. If I could ask you one favor, though, could you try to arrange for that as late as possible? That should be doable, but why? There's someone else I need to speak with first. Alright, I'll do what I can. Thank you. See you this evening, then.